Welcome to Watch Symposium. I'm Austin, and this is a custom video for Will. All right, Will has a 6-piece collection of high-end watches, Rolex, Breitling, Grand Seiko, but he's looking to downsize. He wants to get rid of 4 of them, keep 2, and then add, as he puts it, an F-off piece. All right, so let's read his email. Hi, Austin. I enjoy watching your channel and I share a love for Rolex and indeed well-made Swiss and Japanese watches. I would like your opinion on how I can downsize my collection to 3, maybe max 4 watches and keep it there. I have attached my current 6-piece collection, which is the following: a Grand Seiko diver in stainless steel, a Rolex Sea Dweller pre-ceramic circa 2004, that would be an F serial, a Rolex Submariner Bluesy circa 2018, so the 40mm maxi case Bluesy, Rolex Day-Date circa 1984, this is a 36mm yellow gold Day-Date, Breitling Super Avenger circa this year, so this is the most recent purchase, and a Rolex Day-Date 2, I think he means a Rolex Datejust 2 with the Wimbledon dial on the Oyster two-tone bracelet, which for me fits perfectly due to my large wrist and build. I actually found the new 41mm Datejust a tad too small for me. All right, so a little bit about Will. He writes, I have an 8-inch wrist and lead an active lifestyle where water resistance is a must, but at the same time, elegance and versatility is also a must, hence my love of Rolex, as it usually ticks so many boxes. I love all of my watches and they all serve a purpose. The Day-Date is in exceptional condition and I tend to wear that with a suit or a long sleeve shirt when I wear this kind of attire, which isn't often. I live in a hot climate and I tend to spend most of my time in jeans and a t-shirt. The Breitling was an unusual purchase for me as I tend to go for 40 to 42mm watches, but for some reason this one stood out and I found myself loving this watch for its boldness and very Breitling look, and it's very functional. It's got a rotating bezel so you can mark times and you can use that to time things, or you can use the chronograph. It's got a chronograph if you want more accuracy or to time something for over an hour. It's got the date. I mean, it's pretty much got every function except the GMT function. So very usable watch, and it's got a beautiful blue dial as well. So to get to it, my desire is to minimize my collection to 3 or 4 pieces. I'm willing to call the Day-Date, Datejust Wimbledon dial, Grand Seiko, and maybe even the Bluesy for a one-and-done Rolex. Well, I'm glad he did the culling so I don't have to, but let's look at his choices. One of the first that I would let go would be the 36mm 1984 Day-Date, all right? I don't have a problem with the size. I think 36mm watches are fine for me, but if the Datejust 41 is too small for him, this 36mm watch has to go. It's in good condition. Maybe you can get a good price for it. I would also let it go because, look, it's a 1980s yellow gold Day-Date. I mean, a lot of people would say it's kind of dated, gaudy. Is it really in fashion? I don't know. So I think that's a good one to let go. Now, as far as the Wimbledon dial, Datejust 2, all right? And I didn't know that Datejust 2 had the Wimbledon dial, but I guess, all right, but you can see it right here. It's a Wimbledon dial. Now, the rumor is they're going to be discontinuing that. Is that true? I don't know, but apparently new watches are going to drop from Rolex in April. So, Will, I would wait till April and see if it's in the catalog, all right? If it's not in the catalog, people will know it's been discontinued. Prices will jump. That's when you want to sell that watch. If April comes and it's still in the catalog, then you can either choose to wait or you can just go ahead and sell it. But I would at least wait till April to see what happens. Get the most for your money. Now, as far as the Grand Seiko, The Grand Seiko and the Breitling are one of those watches, and there's a couple ways to think about this. Okay, that you don't want to sell the Grand Seiko and the Breitling because you're going to lose money on those. So a lot of people might say that you want to sell the Rolexes because those are the watches you can make money on or break even on. All right. And then you want to keep the ones where you would lose money on. All right. Other people would say that you want to sell the watches that aren't going up in value or are going to lose money and just concentrate on having watches that are going to more retain their value and possibly go up. Now, both approaches make sense. What would I rather do? Well, if you're keeping the watches because you know getting out of them is going to cost you money, then that's not fun. It's almost like you're forcing yourself to like it so you don't lose your shirt on it when you sell it. I would rather just take a bath, get out of the pieces, have Rolex pieces that are going to retain value and go up. So I think selling the GS is a good idea, and it makes sense to keep either the GS or the Breitling. I would probably keep the Breitling because it's more functional. And so, yeah, I think letting the GS go is probably a good idea. It's good to have that Breitling for a beater, and that's later on, we'll get to that, but he's going to use it as a high-end beater, so great watch for that. And as far as the bluesy ceramic, that would be, if you want to keep 3 pieces, that would be the one I would keep. All right, but if you really do want to narrow it down to 2, I would keep the Sea Dweller 100%. I would keep that, and honestly, I'd probably keep the bluesy and let the Breitling go, but I can understand you wanting to keep the Breitling. So if you do want to keep 3 pieces, then the bluesy would be what I would keep. So I would hang on to that and just step by step, all right? And that would be, I would get it down to 3, keeping that bluesy, and then I would see if you really do want to let go of the bluesy, because yeah, it's a beautiful watch, and you know, it's a 2-tone watch, and quite different than your Breitling and Sea Dweller. And I guess it all depends on what you want this third F-off piece to be. All right, so I think calling in this way makes a lot of sense. So it sounds like a good plan. All right, therefore, ending up with a one-and-done F-off piece. The Sea Dweller, which I love, and the Breitling. The Sea Dweller is really just a great, great watch with perfect proportions and a design that can go from boardroom to the beach effortlessly. The Breitling would be the beater, and that leaves the gap for my one big Rolex. I can wear stainless steel, gold, or 2-tone easily and have no preference either way. All right, so that's open to a lot of different ideas. I think it's right that you keep the Sea Dweller. That's a great watch and very usable and beautiful pre-ceramic piece. It's got the date. It's got the aesthetics of the Submariner, but for anybody that doesn't like the Cyclops but wants the date, that's a great option. And again, the Breitling will be a good sort of beater, high-end beater, all right? We get to what the F-off piece should be. He writes, I would love to hear your inputs on balancing the collection to 3 or 4 pieces, and what, in your opinion, would be the future exit watch. To help with your thoughts, it is important to note that I'm very active, swim a lot, and generally use my watch for everything. And you can see this picture here. He's wearing his Sea Dweller to golf, and golf is apparently pretty hard on watches. So, yeah, that's what Rolexes are for, Rolex oysters, all right? So we got to decide what this F-off piece will be. And look, what is an F-off watch? Well, is it a watch to impress other people or a watch to impress yourself? That's what you have to decide. And really, it's all relative, because I consider a pre-ceramic GMT an F-off piece. And a lot of people would look at that and say, oh, you know, those pre-ceramic pieces with those clasps are garbage. To me, it's an F-off piece. You know, to other people, a humble oyster perpetual might be an F-off piece. So Rolex, really, it depends on who you are and your tastes and who you're trying to impress, or whether you're trying to impress somebody else or yourself or whatnot. So I think we can agree that an F-off piece is a piece that allows you to flex a little bit. And I think you need to ask yourself, do you want to flex for other people or yourself? And what kind of people? I mean, if you're flexing for me, then, you know, getting like a Kermit, like an unpolished Kermit, that's a pre-ceramic piece, transitional piece. But again, it's all relative, because will I be impressed if I know you spent $25,000 to buy one? Not really. I think that makes no sense. It's a steel piece. What would impress me is if, back when it was in the AD, if you picked it up and you paid retail for it, and now you've got this great usable, collectible piece that you paid retail for, and that's selling for 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 now, you know, to me, that's F-off, all right? So who are you trying to impress? Well, let's just say you're trying to impress the general public. Well, a lot of people would say gold pieces, solid gold pieces, the solid gold Daytona with a green dial, a solid gold bluesy. You know, again, I guess that's an quote F-off piece. You're walking around with that piece and everybody knows you paid a lot for it. Honestly, is it going to impress everybody? Not really. I mean, if I see somebody with the green dialed yellow gold Daytona, I'm going to think to myself, God, I wonder if you bought that retail or you paid out the nose for that. And if so, like, why? You know, it's because you heard that it's a popular watch? Awkward. Would you really have that watch, sir, if you didn't hear that it was a hot watch? Were you just jumping on the bandwagon? There's no way to know, right? But what is F-off for one person might seem like awkward status grabbing to another person. You can also have an F-off piece for yourself, and you kind of look into yourself and reflect into yourself about what would turn you on. And when I do that, it's steel pieces. It's steel pre-ceramic pieces, to be honest. I can throw out F-off pieces that you probably have no interest in, you know, non-polished fat ladies and cream dialed Explorer 2s. You don't want to go that route, right? But you need to think about what F-off means to you. And, you know, there's F-off that's kind of more subtle, right? Like the gold GMT Master 2 ceramic with the meteorite dial. I mean, that's an impressive watch, but it doesn't scream F-off in the same way as that yellow gold green dial Daytona. And not a lot of people are going to know that it's a white gold watch. You're going to know it, and watch people are going to know it, and really that would be the way I would go. But again, would I even go solid gold? No. I mean, for me, just a good, unpolished, you know, something like you already have. Sea Dweller, totally F-off for me, all right? So where we are is we've established that F-off means different things to different people. It's all relative. And if I say, oh, he's probably talking about like gold pieces, and I start recommending gold pieces, well, yeah, I mean, I could do that, but you buy that piece and you come back and say, what do you think? And I think you look like a tool now. Well, you told this is an F-off piece you recommended. Well, I thought you wanted to impress these people. So we're all confused now. Hey, it's fun, but I think you need to forget about what I think, what other people think. What is an F-off piece for you? I mean, what would make you happy? When you look down at it, what's going to tickle your fancy? All right. Is it going to be something that you know is impressing other people? Go yellow gold. All right. Is it going to be something that that other people don't realize how special it is. You know, it could be one of these anomaly Rolexes that nobody gets, you know, rail dials or the stick dials. Nobody's gonna know that, but just you, all right? The joke's on everybody else. They don't get it, right? But you're walking around with a stick dial, for instance. Now, I guess I will just, we can't leave them hanging, all right? Look, if you want to impress other people, get a yellow gold sub, okay? Or Daytona. I would go with the sub, all right, because it's a little bit more usable. It's got the date, rotating bezel. And look, everybody will be impressed, all right? Now, if you want to go with something that you know it's F-off, and by that I mean like as expensive as solid precious metal, then you could go with the Smurf, all right? You'd have to source that. They don't sell that anymore. It was discontinued. That's a beautiful watch, beautiful blue dial. Submariner. White gold. Nobody's going to know except you, me, watch guys, and that's it. People will probably think it's steel, right? And or you could go with the current version, which has a black dial and the blue bezel. Which do I like? Again, a little bit more subtle. The current version with the black dial. The blue's beautiful, but again, it depends. Are you going to get tired of the blue, or you know, do you want people to notice that blue? If you want something a little bit more subtle than the current black dial version, the GMT with the white gold and the meteorite dial. The meteorite dial's kind of eye-catching, but again, it looks like a steel watch. Again, that's one of those watches for you. You're going to know it, all right? You walk into a restaurant, a bar, you know, a lot of people are going to look and say, that's a nice steel Rolex he has. It's going to be lost on them that it's a gold piece. Or do you want something really sort of subtle? And again, non-polished, anomaly Rolexes, things like, you know, 1655. I'm guessing that's probably not the way you want to go, all right? Looking at your current collection doesn't look like you're that kind of person, but you do like the 40mm pre-ceramic sea dweller, so maybe, I mean, you know, to me that would be an F-off piece if you could really splash out and find, like, you know, an unpolished box and papers 1655. I mean, I see you wearing that on the train. Man, that's amazing. That would impress me, right? I see you wearing a solid yellow gold watch. Not impressed, man. I think you wasted your money. I see you wearing the Submariner white gold bluesy. All right. I would have spent my money differently, but the guy's got some taste. Gotta admit, the guy's got some taste. And so, you know, you want to go gaudy, you want to go kind of more personal. I don't know what to tell you, all right? So, guys, help him out. Help him out. But, look, I think there's a good balance between, you know, a fat lady GMT, right, and a yellow gold sub. And I think it's those white gold 40mm subs, GMTs. That's what I would go with, all right? If you want a gold watch, again, I don't know. I mean, you talk about usability and, you know, put your watch into you know, situations and water and sports and all that kind of thing. Steel. That's what I would do, steel. And so, look, I get it might not be F-off for you, but a GMT Master 2, a 5-digit, an M serial with the 3186 movement, that's going to be F-off. Man, and a stick dial to boot. Those are $20,000 watches. In fact, I saw one the other day. Stick dial, 3186 movement, blue parachrome spring, M serial, $20,000. That's a usable piece. It's an F-off piece, collectible. It would impress the hell out of me. Is it going to impress, you know, that gold-digging woman at the bar? No, all right? Do you want to impress her? What do you want to impress? Who do you want to impress? Okay, so there we are. Have we answered the question? I'm not sure, but we've at least gotten Will thinking a bit. So weigh in. let him know what you would do in his current collection. I'm thinking, yeah, final answer, I'm thinking one of those white gold or platinum sports watches. All right, and that would be nice to switch with the Sea Dweller. That'll be your steel piece, usable piece, your Breitling the beater, and this will be the piece when you dress up, you kind of want to get fancy. But again, many people won't know it. It's white gold or platinum. Okay, so you can always go yellow gold if you want to impress other people. There you go, Will. Thanks for your question. Guys, comment, help him out. I was all over the place today, but it was fun. Take care. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. One final thought, Will. You've got a chronograph in your Breitling. You've got a dive watch in your Sea Dweller. You're missing a GMT, so whether you go steel, yellow gold, white gold, a GMT function watch could work. So a Sky Dweller, a GMT, or a forthcoming precious metal Explorer 2 here in 2021 could work.